The President. Questions. Question 1, Mr. LUK Chung-hung. President, there are views that most waste furniture is reusable, and for Hong Kong, collaborating with the mainland in waste treatment is not only a superior mode of cooperation leveraging on the strong support of the motherland, but also crucial to the city's efforts in reducing waste, turning waste into resources, and promoting environmental protection and sustainable development. In this connection, will the government inform this council, 1, of the quantity of waste furniture disposal as measured by weight in the past 5 years, together with a breakdown by household furniture and commercial furniture? 2, as some members of the public have relayed that at present they have to deliver the furniture to public refuse collection points themselves, which is very physically demanding, whether the government will, by drawing reference from the practice of treating and recycling waste electrical and electronic equipment, introduce a producer responsibility scheme on furniture and commission contractors to provide services for to-the-door collection of waste furniture and the delivery of used furniture in suitable conditions as a donation to the underprivileged groups, so as to assist members of the public in the disposal and promote the turning of waste into resources, if so, of the details, if not the reasons for that. And 3, as it is learned that Hong Kong will explore with the mainland the integration of waste resources in the Greater Bay Area, whether the government will consider collaborating with the mainland in creating new green industries for the treatment of household or commercial waste furniture that has value and is reusable, establishing a green lane for exporting waste furniture to the mainland with the provision of tax incentives, if so, of the details, if not the reasons for that. Secretary for Environment and Ecology. President, the government is committed to promoting the culture of use less, waste less, and vigorously promoting community-wide participation in waste reduction at source and clean recycling, with a view to achieving full utilization of materials and minimization of resource wastage. The government's support to the recycling industry is primarily based on the principles of market economy and fair competition. Meanwhile, consideration is also given to the feasibility of converting different types of waste into energy or resources, as well as cost effectiveness of recycling, when determining priority and appropriate measures for various types of recyclables. In view of the diverse types of waste, in order to optimize the use of government resources, the priority of the government's support measures is accorded to the treatment of 2 types of waste, including 1, waste containing hazardous substances which will pose hazards to the environment and human health, such as waste electrical and electronic products, and 2, waste of relatively large quantities but low recycling value and high recycling costs, such as waste plastics and food waste. For these 2 types of waste, we will fill the gaps in the market through appropriate measures based on the relative economic value and environmental benefits of recycling. As regards recyclables with stable market value or items with an active second-hand market, the government will allow the recycling industry and the private market to handle them in accordance with market principles, which will be conducive to enhancing the economic value of recovery and recycling, thereby building a circular economy in the long run. On handling of used furniture, the second-hand market and trading platforms for used furniture are active in Hong Kong, and members of the public are aware of the mode of operation. For example, members of the public could arrange for the proper disposal of used furniture through furniture companies or trading platforms, or arrange for door-to-door collection by themselves in buying new furniture. The reply to the questions raised by Mr. LUK Chung-hung is as follows. 1. The Environmental Protection Department, or EPD, does not keep separate statistics on the amount of furniture disposed of and is thus unable to provide such figures. 2. At present, there are different channels and platforms in the market for second-hand sale, exchange, donation, refurbishment, and facilitating the reuse of furniture, including commercial organizations, social enterprises, NGOs, and social media, to assist members of the public in handling used furniture. The public may choose suitable channels for trading, exchanging, or donating the used furniture according to different circumstances and needs, such as the quality, quantity of furniture, as well as the district of residence. If members of the public need to dispose of used furniture, there are companies providing such services, the charges of which depend on the size, type, and weight of individual furniture, as well as the removal condition and the districts concerned. On the other hand, the Food and Environmental Hygiene Department of the LVHD and its contractors collect domestic waste, including disposed furniture, from its public refuse collection points, as well as the refuse collection points in public and private housing estates. Some residential buildings employ their own contractors to take the unwanted furniture from residents from the refuse collection points of the residential buildings to the public RCPs under LVHD, or directly to the refuse transfer stations or landfills under EPD for disposal. The arrangement for disposal services has been operating effectively and is generally in line with the polluter pays principle. Therefore, at present, we do not consider it necessary for the government to provide door-to-door disposal services for used furniture for the public through a designated operator. As most of the furniture is made of composite materials containing a wide range of substances such as plastics, wood trimmings, wood or other plant fibers, these composite materials are difficult to be separated into single materials for recycling by simple means. That leads to very high cost of recycling and relatively high carbon footprint in the process. Therefore, recycling is generally not a suitable outlet for used furniture. Encouraging members of the public to reuse the used furniture would better comply with the environmental principles and should be more cost-effective than recovery and recycling through producer responsibility schemes or other measures. 3. We will continue to promote waste reduction at different levels of the community, maintain communication with trade stakeholders, and join hands to promote the culture of use less, waste less, so as to foster a culture and habit of reusing, exchanging, and donating used furniture in society. Specific measures include collaborating with NGOs to explore ways to step up publicity and education on the donation or exchange of second-hand furniture at the community level, promoting the culture of use less, waste less through the Big Wasters social media platform and the government's Hong Kong waste reduction website, as well as further disseminating the relevant message at the district level through the community network of the Green Outreach. As for the cooperation in the Greater Bay Area, the Guangdong-Hong Kong-Macao Greater Bay Area Ecological and Environmental Protection Plan promulgated by the Ministry of Ecology and Environment vigorously promotes the development of a zero-waste Bay Area. With this opportunity, Guangdong and Hong Kong have established a close cooperation and exchange mechanism on environmental issues to explore the capacity and modes for developing a circular economy in the region, leveraging the competitive advantages of the two places, complementing each other's strengths, and mutually developing green industries, green energy, and related facilities. We believe this will bring greater opportunities for the recycling industry in Hong Kong. We will continue to monitor the market situation and maintain communication with the trade with a view to further fostering a culture of use less, waste less in the community and encouraging the reuse and donation of used furniture. Thank you. Mr. LUK Chung-hung, President. I am quite disappointed in the Secretary's reply. The administration does not even keep statistics in relation to the disposal of used furniture. It's apparent that the government is not attaching importance to the issue, be it domestic or commercial furniture. Now, be it reuse, recycling of used furniture, the manpower, resources, and the storage are a major problem. We should not rely on market operations. Corporations now attach a lot of importance to ESG. According to reports released in the mainland, well, Mr. LUK Chung-hung, please just ask a follow-up question. Yes, I'm going to do that. My question is this. According to the administration's reply in relation to zero waste Bay Area and the concept of complementing each other's strengths, in order to export quality commercial used furniture to the mainland, we are required to pay export duty. Now, can the government negotiate for a green lane for the quality used furniture to be exported to the mainland so as to achieve waste reduction and carbon emission reduction? Secretary. President. As I explained, With a joint effort with the Ministry of Ecology and Environment, we have been exploring ways to leverage on the competitive advantages of the two places so that complementing each other's strengths, we can make a joint effort to reduce waste and promote environmental protection. And that is why we have the Greater Bay Area Ecological and Environmental Protection Plan. And in fact, within the government, we've set up a working group. We explore ways to take this forward. At this point, I'm afraid I cannot give you a specific answer on used furniture, but all in all, there are joint efforts with the Greater Bay Area. We explore ways to reuse, recycle used furniture, and we strive to put in place facilitation measures. Mr. Stephen Ho. There is always demand for new furniture. So for furniture that is to be disposed of, surely the furniture is unwanted and nobody would pay even $1 for the disposal of used furniture. A producer responsibility scheme is not impossible, but on the issue of illegal disposal of furniture and how the used furniture is handled, the government should at least keep statistics. If the statistics show that there is illegal dumping of used furniture, then there will be a stronger justification for the government to introduce a producer responsibility scheme. We need this compare and contrast approach for the council to learn more about the issue and to put in place suitable measures. It will also help the public decide whether to give the furniture purchased a longer lifespan before it is replaced. Secretary. Well, of course, we can have a producer responsibility scheme for anything. But as I said in the main reply, we need to consider the objective of implementing a producer responsibility scheme. We also need to accord priorities to different types of waste. So the principle that we're upholding is that for waste with hazardous substance, we should give priority because it poses a risk. And one example is a waste electrical and electronic product. The other consideration is if we could achieve cost effectiveness by putting in place a scheme so that the waste does not go to landfill, then we will give priority to that as well. As for other types of waste with a stable market value, second-hand, and with a active second-hand market, we can rely on market principles. One such example is metal, aluminum cans, or metal spare parts from heavy vehicles. The recycling rate in the market is now 92%. So if it carries a market value, there is no need for the government to set up a scheme to promote recycling. The market forces are effective. As for furniture, I'd like to elaborate on this point. First of all, we should not have this misconception that used furniture can be recycled. In fact, it's not cost effective. If you break apart this piece of furniture, it's difficult to use the wood trimmings for other purposes. And for the bits of metals that come off, again, the recycling value is low. And it also requires a lot of manpower to recycle the piece of furniture, not to mention the carbon footprint it may bring. So we need to consider, instead of recycling, that furniture should be reused. And there are operators dedicated to the collection of used furniture. Perhaps not just individual pieces of furniture, but furniture coming in large quantities, such as those in offices. As for the operation on a smaller scale, it may not be commercially viable, but then we also have second-hand trading platforms on the internet, and that the interested buyers may queue up for collection of used furniture. So there is a lot of potential in the market. The appropriate way, in our view, is to promote the running of these trading platforms to foster a culture in society instead of government-led facilitation measures to promote disposal of used furniture, because disposal of furniture is not the best option to protect the environment. Mr. Chan Yong. Now, we need to take forward integrated development in the Greater Bay Area and protect the environment together. We also have green technologies available. Secretary, my question is whether there is a plan for the cities in the Greater Bay Area to invest in companies to set up platforms for waste treatment, so that we have collaboration in the Greater Bay Area, so that this common problem facing cities in the Greater Bay Area can be solved together. Secretary. According to the Guangdong-Hong Kong-Macao Greater Bay Area and Ecological Environmental Protection Plan, the central authorities will promote the concept of a zero waste Bay Area. And as I explained, the ministry, there is a working group on combating climate change, jointly set up by the Hong Kong government as well as the Guangdong government. And this working group or task force will explore opportunities for the two places as well as other cities in the Greater Bay Area to leverage the different competitive advantages of the places, land-wise or technology-wise, so as to take forward this development together. For example, we explore the development of green industries, not only for recycling of resources, but for industrial development as well. So this task force will be exploring different options. There will also be in-depth studies into different issues. Mr. Bill Tang. Thank you, President. Mr. Michael Luk, my fellow party member, was in fact asking about commercial furniture. For commercial furniture, they are usually disposed of because of the expiry of a tenancy, and the furniture is in good condition in general. Now that ESG is an important topic for enterprises, could the reuse and recycling of commercial furniture be included in assessing the ESG of a company so as to enhance the competitiveness, so as to respond to the point raised by Mr. Luk on reuse and recycling of used furniture in the commercial sector? I think this is a very good question. In promoting environmental protection, there are many ways to go about it apart from legislative means. One example is ESG. That is, corporations are encouraged to do better on the three areas of ESG. So there are also indicators to assess the results of carbon reduction. There are different standards for different places, though. To respond to the member's question, can we incorporate waste reduction and recycling in the assessment of ESG for corporations? At the moment, these are counted towards ESG already, only that there are different ways to do so. As for commercial furniture, of course, we can look into this option, whether they can be incorporated in the assessment as well. We can explore this with the Hong Kong Exchange, perhaps by expanding the scope of or definition of ESG. We can encourage upcycling or reuse of used furniture. Mr. Yim Kong. Thank you, President. For furniture that can be reused, in the mainland, there is a demand for used furniture in remote areas. Now, if some NGOs are willing to collect or make arrangements for the delivery of the used furniture to these rural areas, then will the government consider providing support for these organizations? Secretary. Thank you, member, for the question. In the mainland, a mechanism is set up to promote collection and reuse of used furniture. In fact, the strategy is similar. They have publicity and promotion. They also set up collection points to encourage reuse of used furniture. They also have similar trading and exchange platforms. So they take a similar approach. As for furniture, it's common knowledge that they tend to be quite heavy, so transportation cost is a consideration, and it may not be ideal to deliver the furniture to somewhere really far away because of carbon footprint implications. It may be a better option to reuse the furniture in the same district. However, to answer members' question, if organizations would like to seek assistance to deliver used furniture to remote areas, then the Hong Kong government will be willing to provide assistance. Mr. Tony Che. Thank you, President. I share Mr. LUK Chung-hung's sentiment. I'm quite disappointed in the Secretary's reply as well. Now, the Secretary mentions minimization of resource wastage and full utilization of materials. And priority will be given to the treatment of waste containing hazardous substances that may pose hazards to environmental and human health. However, this is not backed up by data. We're in an era of big data. Secretary, you should do something about it to back your argument, especially since you mentioned online platforms. On the government's part, something should be done to publicize these platforms to the public so that they know where they go should they wish to dispose of the furniture. Secretary. President, in the main reply, I already said that we agree that we should step up publicity and public education. That includes publicizing the platforms on which members of the public could trade and exchange furniture.
Question 2, Mr. Jimmy NG. Thank you, President. The government has earlier on launched a 3-year Clansmen culture promotion scheme, under which a total funding of $30 million has been earmarked for application by Clansmen associations to organize activities promoting hometown culture. It has been reported that the scheme has received overwhelming responses and that the Home Affairs Department received 213 applications from 110 Clansmen associations this year, of which 39 were approved with funding of about $10 million. In this connection, will the government inform this council one of the respective themes of the funded hometown cultural activities, whether it has estimated the number of participants in such activities, if so, of the details. 2, whether it will expand the scope of the subsidy under the scheme to assist Clansmen associations in organizing more activities of different types so as to promote the vast and profound Chinese culture and enhance public understanding of the latest developments in various provinces and municipalities of the motherland. And 3, whether it will extend the implementation period of the scheme or even regularize it, whether it will introduce more schemes to promote Clansmen culture, if so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs. President, Clansmen associations have a long history in Hong Kong, most of which were established by their ancestors who came to Hong Kong in the early days for development and then settled in, with a view to uniting and serving their fellow Clansmen and promoting solidarity and mutual support. The associations play a bridging role between their fellow Clansmen and hometowns. Being steadfast patriots supporting the country and Hong Kong, Clansmen associations have effectively forged cohesion among Clansmen who love the country, Hong Kong, and their hometowns. They have provided resolute support for the government in implementing one country, two systems, promoting the development of Hong Kong and fostering social harmony and stability. Clansmen associations have been supporting the work of the government in many areas. During the pandemic, Clansmen associations volunteered to donate supplies and mobilize fellow Clansmen in fighting the epidemic. On the improvement of the electoral system of Hong Kong, Clansmen's association's active support and participation helped ensure Patriots administering Hong Kong was fully implemented. Clansmen associations also strongly supported various initiatives of district governments. In terms of activities, Clansmen associations have been organizing various cultural promotion, caring, and exchange programs to promote exchanges and cooperation between Hong Kong and the mainland in different aspects, enhancing mutual communication and deepening the friendship between the people and fostering the inheritance of the Chinese culture. To deepen the public's understanding of and sense of belonging to their hometowns, to foster a spirit of loving the motherland, Hong Kong, and their hometowns, the chief executive announced in his 2023 policy address the launch of the relevant scheme for a period of 3 years. So starting from 2024-25, an annual provision of $10 million for 3 consecutive financial years is earmarked for application by Clansmen associations to organize their activities to promote and preserve hometown culture, unite Clansmen in Hong Kong, and facilitate exchanges between Hong Kong and the mainland. The Home Affairs Department began accepting funding applications in April. Within a 1-month application period, a total of 213 applications from 110 Clansmen associations were received. By the end of May, the HAD had completed the vetting and approved 39 applications, taking into consideration factors such as the reputation and experience of organizations as well as the content of activities. In response to the questions raised by Mr. Jimmy, the replies are as follows. A variety of projects were approved in the first year of the scheme, including hometown markets, cultural festivities, as well as some other parent-child heritage tours, youth exchange programs from early June to end October 2024. A total of 20 approved projects were completed, with over 220,000 people participated. For specific events, for example, the Clansmen Association's Hometown Market Carnival, jointly organized by 28 Clansmen associations in the Victoria Park for 5 days, in early June attracted approximately 200,000 visitors. The Min Kong Youth Maritime Silk Road Cultural Exchange Tour and the Hong Kong-Macao Youth Zhejiang Tour, organized by 2 other Clansmen associations in July, were participated by a total of about 1,000 young people to promote youth exchange between Hong Kong and the mainland. The Federation of Hong Kong Guangxi Community Organizations and the Hong Kong Federation of Hainan Community Organizations held 2 other events in September, engaging over 10,000 participants. In September and October, the Federation of Hong Kong Beijing Organizations organized the Thank You for Being There Hand in Hand to Warm Hearts event, where volunteer teams visited grassroots families of about 1,000 people. From September to December, the Federation of Hong Kong Guangdong-Hong Community Organizations has hosted cultural workshops in various primary and secondary schools. It is expected that nearly 1,000 students and parents would be engaged. The scope of projects subsidized under the scheme is wide. As long as a Clansmen association is locally registered, has a good reputation and track record, and has experience in organizing relevant activities, are eligible to apply for subsidy under the scheme. As long as the activities are non-profit making and in line with the objectives of the scheme, there is no restriction on the form of the activities. Apart from the scheme, the HAD and the 18 district offices have been collaborating with other district organizations as well as the Clansmen associations to foster community building. For example, the HAD co-organized with 28 professional Clansmen associations the Bazaar Carnival in celebration of the 75th anniversary of the founding of the PRC in October at Sha Tin Park. It provided a total of 75 market stalls offering a variety of products, showcasing the unique culture of China. The bazaar also staged diverse cultural performances, including some dance and song performances, as well as free screenings of movies and cultural introductions of various provinces, enabling the public to experience the diverse culture. The 5-day bazaar attracted about 180,000 visitors. The total sales are estimated to be more than $4.6 million. Besides, the Clansmen associations can also apply for funding support through the ongoing community involvement program to organize various projects to promote district harmony. Some Clansmen associations also actively participate in the funding scheme for youth exchange in the mainland implemented by the Bureau to apply for funding to organize youth exchange tours. Lastly, in Q1 of 2025, funding application under the scheme for the financial year 2025-26 will be launched, with a focus on uniting Clansmen in Hong Kong. The HAD will provide funding support for associations to organize various activities to promote patriotic education. The HAD will continue to maintain close contact and closely monitor the various activities' effectiveness. They have our support and organize various activities in hometown culture promotion and patriotic education. Thank you, President. Mr. Jimmy Ng. Thank you. The scheme has supported many hometown cultural activities and there is positive feedback from citizens, so that is good. But I have noted, apart from Clansmen associations, other patriotic organizations would also hold activities to promote exchanges between Hong Kong and mainland. For example, in the business sector, we have often organized activities or exchange tours. Would you consider expanding the scope of the scheme so that more organizations can benefit to hold activities with characteristics such as those with business characteristics? Would you consider this, Secretary? Thank you. Secretary, thank you. Under the HYAB, apart from this Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme, we have other subsidy programs, including under the Youth Development Fund. We have specifically schemes that would support youth exchange and development. We have been working hard on this, and I have seen the business sector applying to these schemes to organize exchange activities for the youth. Whether it's summer exchange programs or dedicated exchange programs, in the summer holiday of this year, the business sector took active part in this. There were tours organized for visit to Tianjin, for example. So the business sector has applied for funding support from us to organize youth exchange activities as well as internships for youngsters. I know that the business sector is dedicated to, through various programs, support the youth to deepen their understanding of the country. Simply put, we already have various subsidy programs for the business sector. Thank you. Ms. Leon Kwok. Thank you, President. Hometown culture is a great part of the rich Chinese culture. To promote public's understanding of hometown culture would definitely enhance national identity as well as sense of belonging. It also helps with patriotic education. So I want to ask, in relation to this, with this Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme for the hometown cultural activities supported, how many of them are actually held in schools? If they are held in schools, I think it will help deepen students' understanding of the country, hometown culture, and it would help foster national identity. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. Would you consider doing that in future? If not, and would you consider promoting hometown culture in schools in future? Thank you, Secretary. We very much agree with what the members said. We need to enhance youngsters' understanding of the country and hometown culture, but there are various channels for that. Simply put, as I said in the main reply, in September and October, various activities were held, and in particular, the Federation of Hong Kong Guangdong Community Organization would hold some cultural workshops in various primary and secondary schools. We very much attach great importance to enhancing youngsters' understanding of the country and hometown culture, but we shouldn't rely only on the Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme for that. As I answered Mr. Jimmy Ng's questions earlier, there are various channels to do that. We already have various subsidy programs. So Clansmen associations may try to reach out to schools. We also have various sectors in the community that can apply for funding under our other schemes to reach out to students. For example, the Youth Development Commission's members, they also have an initiative to go to schools. They have students who participated in various youth exchange programs of the Bureau or other activities. They would come with us to schools and share with other students their experience. We believe this will be better than us just holding seminars or talks. It would be better to have them share their experiences. So simply put, we have multiple other schemes other than the Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme to go into schools to reach out to more students. Thank you. Mr. Sonny Tan. Thank you, President. Clansmen associations have long been actively taking part in the work of community. The Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme is one example. They have also helped us when fighting the epidemic. I want to ask the government if there are any policies or other forms of support to help with the development of Clansmen associations so that they can play an even bigger role in community and better leverage on their functions. Thank you. Secretary. Thank you. I understand that Mr. Sonny Tan is also a member of a Clansmen association. As said earlier, before the Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme was under another name in 2018, it has already been helping the government in promoting different activities as well as helping us during the pandemic. Clansmen associations have played a bigger role in recent years, including what is mentioned earlier in fighting the epidemic as well as district work, which is why in 2023, the policy address in particular, it was announced that the Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme will be launched. Not only will it provide more funding support to Clansmen associations, it also provides recognition for the Clansmen associations. In the past few years, we have seen healthy development and rapid development of Clansmen associations. Many members of Clansmen associations are now those who are younger, unlike before. And we have many young Clansmen association members taking part in the activities of district work. So we have had these members take part in these youth committees, and we have had 14 Clansmen association forming 17 teams, and in fact we have even more Clansmen associations acting as partners of care teams. So Clansmen associations have played a bigger role in community work now. So through the various subsidy programs, or with the appointment of young Clansmen Association members to various committees. It shows that Clansmen associations are working with the government to play a bigger role to serve the public as well as foster our ties with the country. Thank you. Mr. Tang Fei. Thank you, President. Secretary, I can see in the main reply that $30 million have been earmarked, and that is over a period of 3 years. But only 39 applications out of the 213 applications were approved. It's just 18%. Why is there such a low rate? And what is going to happen with the remaining $20 million? Well, let me first give a simple answer. The $20 million are for the next 2 years. So for this year, the $10 million have been fully disbursed, and the next round will be launched in early next year. We urge Clansmen associations to take note of when we are going to accept funding applications. So simply put, we have practically used up this year's provision. The remaining $20 million would be for the next 2 years. As for the success rate and criteria, we would look at the first factors such as experience of the applying organizations and the content of their activities and plans. With the relatively low rate, it is because a particular association would submit various plans, and it ends up that only one of the plans is approved. Thank you. Mr. Chan Yuet-ming. For example, parent-child heritage tours would help enhance public understanding of the diverse culture, but it does not help inheritance of Chinese culture, as we have those who know about the culture age. The younger ones may not know about where our roots lie. I remember when I was little, when I applied for government services, I would have to mention where my hometown was. So is it possible in future the government would require students or young ones to fill in information about their hometowns in order to enhance the public's understanding of their roots? Thank you. Secretary, thank you. Well, I believe the Education Bureau has considered including in student handbooks such information. So that is one part of it. I think it's more important for the students to not only know where their hometowns are, they should know more about their hometowns, about the history, and about the development of their hometowns. Inheritance is indeed very important, as the member said. So we have various schemes under the Bureau, including the Clansmen Culture Promotion Scheme, that would encourage the youth to go back to their hometowns to see what they are today. Because even if they know about the names of their hometowns, it's superficial. It's more about them having to know about the various developments and the situation of their hometowns. Thank you. Dr. Simon Lee. I think this scheme is very good. It is well received by various sectors of the community. But apart from providing funding support, taking a more macro perspective, I think there can be more synergy. We can work with the mainland offices to foster better cultural exchanges. Thank you. Secretary, I think the members' observations are quite valid. We have actually been working with the mainland offices, and in fact the mainland offices have been working closely with the Clansmen associations as well. So with the collaboration on activities, we have colleagues in mainland offices that would help with coordination. For example, during the summer holidays, the Clansmen associations have organized for a Shanghai exchange tour, and the mainland office there, as well as some Hong Kong mainland offices colleagues have helped with coordination, because if we have to operate on a large scale to encourage the youth to go to different cities in the mainland for exchange, we need the help of various units. So we have the mainland offices and other Hong Kong and Macau offices help with this. Thank you.
Question 3, Professor Priscilla Leung. President, there are views pointing out that given the nascent recovery from the epidemic and current volatility in international politics, many enterprises in Hong Kong are still facing huge survival pressure. Results of a survey on the Business Index for Small and Medium Enterprises, SMEs, published by a statutory body in August this year, have indicated that Hong Kong's overall business index for the third quarter retreated by 4.8 to 42.5, reaching the lowest level since the third quarter of 2022. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. As it has been reported that, as pointed out in the survey findings published by a trade association in August this year, nearly half of the SME respondents indicated their difficulty in financing due to the long processing time and cumbersome procedures for the government's handling of applications lodged under various funding schemes. How the government will enhance efficiency in vetting and improving applications under the funding schemes in order to assist enterprises in financing. 2. Whether it has reviewed if various financial regulators and statutory bodies such as the Hong Kong Monetary Authority and the Insurance Authority have aligned with the government's general direction of providing assistance and room for survival for those enterprises at risk of closure but with a chance to survive, thereby ensuring their survival. If it has reviewed and the outcome is in the affirmative of the details, if in the negative the reasons for that. And 3. Whether the government and the statutory bodies concerned will review the existing disciplinary policies for certain industries in response to the prevailing trends and circumstances, such as deferring the takeover of insolvent enterprises. If so, of the details. If not, the reasons for that. Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, the government is dedicated to providing a reliable and business-friendly environment and support for enterprises to grow healthily. Having regard to the economic situation and needs of the trade, the government has also from time to time enhanced various measures to help enterprises, SMEs, in developing markets and addressing various challenges, especially SMEs. Stepping into 2024, the global market situation remains unstable. Alongside the strength of the Hong Kong dollar and change in consumption patterns of visitors and the local public, the pace of recovery is uneven across different sectors. The Chief Executive announced in a 2024 policy address 8 measures to help SMEs address the challenges often encountered during economic restructuring, including under the SME Financing Guarantee Scheme, launching again the principal moratorium, extending the maximum loan guarantee periods of the 80% and 90% guarantee products to 10 years and 8 years respectively, as well as offering partial principal repayment options to new loans under the 2 guarantee products so as to alleviate the repayment burden on SMEs, injecting $1 billion into the dedicated fund on branding, upgrading, and domestic sales, that is BUD Fund, to assist SMEs in upgrading their business operations and developing new markets, expanding the scope of Cyberport's digital Transformation Support Pilot Program DTSPP, strengthening brand development of SMEs, enhancing the services of the Hong Kong Design Center and incentive for recurrent exhibitions with a view to alleviating the operating pressure of SMEs and helping them to further expand their businesses. Besides, the policy address has emphasized the promotion of the development of new quality productive forces, including encouraging enterprises to grasp the opportunities brought about by electronic commerce, developing the low-altitude economy, expanding the civil market, as well as fostering liquor trading and so on, thereby creating more business opportunities for SMEs. Having consulted the FSTB, the ITIB, Hong Kong MA, and Insurance Authority IA, the consolidated reply to various parts of the question is as follows. Regarding the government's funding schemes, bureaus have been reviewing and enhancing the operations, including expediting the application process. Take the BUD Fund as an example. To facilitate enterprises' application submission, we have simplified the application form, redesigned the webpage to provide graphic illustration of the application process, application tips and success stories, and so on. We have also allowed online submission of applications and project reports by applicant enterprises. The Easy Bud launch in June 2023 further facilitates applicants in preparing applications and implementing projects with a funding amount of $100,000 or below, and shorten the target processing time by half to within 30 working days, and thus helping SMEs to expand their businesses swiftly. Since this year, we have included new functions and information on the webpage of SME Export Marketing Fund to facilitate online submission of supporting documents and information by applicant enterprises and expedite the application process. As regards the DTSPP, Subaport has set up a dedicated website to assist SMEs in selecting off-the-shelf basic digital solutions and is continuously enhancing the efficiency for processing applications, thereby expediting approval procedures. On the issue of financing, the government has been paying close attention to SME lending. Among others, since the setup of the banking sector SME lending coordination mechanism by the Hong Kong MA and the banking sector in 2019, several rounds of measures have been introduced to support SMEs, including the pre-approved principal payment holiday scheme, deferment of repayment period, and conversion of trade financing lines into temporary overdraft facilities. Noting that some SMEs are still facing challenges in their business operations, the Hong Kong MA, together with the mechanism, introduced 9 SME support measures in March 2024. They include the bank's undertaking to follow the Hong Kong MA guidance not to demand early repayments from borrowers who continue to make mortgage payments on schedule. Banks will also take into account a range of factors such as the borrowing enterprise credit position and the repayment ability when performing periodic credit reviews. In the first 6 months since the launch of the 9 support measures, a total of around 20,000 SMEs had benefited, involving an aggregate credit limit of over $44 billion. In August 2024, the Hong Kong MA and the Hong Kong Association of Banks jointly established a task force on SME lending to further strengthen the work for supporting SMEs' access to bank financing at both the individual case and the sector levels. The Hong Kong MA and the banking sector introduced 5 new measures in October 2024, including the release of bank capital to facilitate the financing needs of SMEs, setting aside a total of over $370 billion of dedicated funds to support SMEs. The Hong Kong MA has also required banks to be sympathetic and offer suitable credit relief to borrowing enterprises facing genuine repayment difficulties under the overarching principle of prudent risk management principles. Since banks must maintain effective risk management to safeguard depositors' interest for certain loan cases where there are no improvements despite relief or restructuring arrangements, while banks will inevitably have to manage in these cases as appropriate, they should ensure that communication with customers be conducted in an accommodative manner. As for the insurance sector, the principal statutory functions of the insurance authority are to protect existing and potential policyholders, maintain the overall market stability, and promote the global competitiveness of Hong Kong's insurance industry. In the daily work of the IA, if an authorized insurer faces short-term operational challenges, the IA would seek ways to help it overcome the difficulties in a pragmatic manner. If there is a fear contravention of legal requirements, the IA will take decisive interventions to prevent policyholders' interests from being jeopardized. The government and the financial regulators will continue to maintain communication with the banking industry and the commercial sector to understand the financing needs of SMEs and work in concerted efforts to support their continuous development, upgrading, and transformation. Professor Priscilla Leung. I don't doubt the government's determination to tide SMEs over difficulties. I have to declare the government is throwing a financial lifeline to SMEs. There are always policies. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority or the Insurance Authority, their higher echelon, do understand the general direction of the government to help SMEs. However, when it comes to the technical staff or the frontline staff, while vetting or approving applications, they lack the perspective. The overall perspective. We need to save one enterprise, each and every single enterprise. The Hong Kong Monetary Authority and the Insurance Authority, when they demand payments, we need to make sure all of the staff members also have the grand scheme of things in their mind. President, Undersecretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. Thank you, President. Thank you, Member, for her question. The government does have the determination to help SMEs. There are different financial regulators in the banking sector, and we also attach importance to the implementation of the projects. So this August, we set up a task force on SME lending. It was set up jointly with the Hong Kong MA and the Hong Kong Association of Banks, comprising a total of 16 banks that are active in the financing market for SMEs especially. We attach importance to communication, and we focus on the financing work dedicated to SMEs. They have set up a mechanism to handle applications or cases of SMEs with financing difficulties. We want to process their applications as soon as possible. When we identify issues, then the banking sector will put their heads together to see how they can handle the application. On the website of the Hong Kong MA, as we mentioned, we have already enhanced communication with SMEs. There's a dedicated webpage providing relevant information. When SMEs run into difficulty in financing, they can visit the webpage, and the case will be referred to the task force for further follow-up. This September, the banks had a meeting together. So there was no change in the risk appetite among banks. There is no change in the criteria either. We attach importance to the implementation of the schemes and will remain in communication with different banks and the banking sector as a whole. Mr. Louis Leung. Thank you, President. Just now I've heard the administration's reply and the question put by Professor Priscilla LEUNG. This Monday on the 4th of November, in the panel on financial affairs, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority said that they had already requested banks not to put in place counter-cyclical measures in order to prevent further changes. The Hong Kong MA has already given directions or guidelines to banks. However, in actual reality, we can see that for companies whose collateral still has sufficient coverage, banks still demand repayments from these companies. This means the directions given by the Hong Kong MA aren't implemented in the front line. More importantly, they aren't putting in practice what the Hong Kong MA has requested. I think the management of the Hong Kong MA shouldn't be spending time doing this. Instead, when the directions reach the bank does have the responsibility to put in place such arrangements. So I'd like to know, what measures do you have to make sure these schemes or directions are complied with? Undersecretary of the FSTB. In my answer to Professor Priscilla Leung's question, we have set up the task force on SME lending in order to make sure the schemes and the directions are complied with. We welcome comments. In the end, we will refer the comments and views to the task force. They have direct communication with the banking sector. I need to emphasize one of the responsibilities of the task force is to enhance communication between the commercial and the business sector and the banking sector. We have colleagues from the Hong Kong MA as well as the banking practitioners. They put their head together. In our communication with SMEs, there is already a one-stop shop by the Hong Kong MA. That is a dedicated web page for SME financing. There are telephone number as well as the email address. When SMEs run into financial difficulties, financing difficulties, they can directly talk to the Hong Kong MA. I need to reiterate, we understand, apart from policy positioning, we do need to make sure the schemes are implemented in the front line. We will continue to enhance communication with the banking sector as well as the business sector. Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, President. In the U.S., an interest rate reduction is around the corner. A lot have happened around the world. Many businesses are seeking business transformation. SMEs would like to enhance their cash flow in order to brace themselves for new changes in the future. There are different measures introduced by the Central People's Government. Recently, the BPA reflected to the government the difficulties of SMEs in financing. This August, together with 3 currency issuing banks and the Hong Kong Association of Banks, they set up the task force on SME lending to look into the situation of demanding repayments. I'd like to know how many SMEs you have helped. Did any bank not comply with the directions? Undersecretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. Thank you, member, for his question. First of all, on figures, in the main reply, the task force was set up in August. They held the first meeting in September. There is a coordination mechanism. It rolled out 5 measures in October to support SMEs. As we can see, these are new initiatives. They took place in the last 1 to 2 months. We collected feedback, after which we'll continue with the implementation of different schemes. Last month, in October, the 5 measures include reducing the countercyclical capital buffer ratio from 1% to 0.5%. This way, more capital can be released. We also set aside a dedicated funds to provide assistance to SMEs. The 16 banks have set aside a total of 370 billion Hong Kong dollars dedicated funds to support SMEs. More credit products and services will be rolled out to help SMEs with transformation and upgrading. For example, green transformation. Advisory services will also be provided to SMEs to obtain green financing. Partial principal repayment options will also be provided. Previously, the pre-approved principal payment holiday scheme stopped operation in an orderly manner, so we are providing support in this regard. There will also be sufficient manpower resources in the banking sector to put in place the enhanced measures of the SME financing guarantee scheme. All these were announced in the coordination mechanism in October 2024. We'll definitely make sure these measures are implemented. Well, Undersecretary, do you have any figures? On figures, I just now mentioned 9 measures. They were rolled out in March this year. They involved credit amount of over $44 billion, benefiting over 20,000 SMEs. And this is the figure from the 9 measures rolled out in March 2024. We'll continue to collect feedback in relation to the measures rolled out in October, and we report to the Council. Thank you, President. Mr. Edmund Wong. Thank you, President. I thank the government for rolling out measures to help SMEs, including different dedicated funds to tide companies over. There are always difficulties and hurdles in the future. The consumption pattern has changed. People move northwards to spend. There may be business warning. The e-commerce platforms in mainland China offered free delivery services. Return can even be conducted in Hong Kong. The business sector faces unprecedented pressure. The BOD fund has an additional injection of $1 billion. In face of the fundamental issue, apart from providing capital to help SMEs, what concrete measures do we have to help physical SMEs with their operation during the difficult period? Which public officer will reply to this supplementary question? Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. Thank you, Mr. Edmund Wong. I agree. In the course of economic transformation, retail industry, F&B industry, they face a lot of changes and hurdles. In the course of transformation, we encourage enterprises to continue to maintain the quality of services and products. The Bureau will continue to help enterprises to develop e-commerce in order to develop their products and services with e-commerce easy. We organized the Hong Kong Shopping Festival involving a total of 230 brands. There were a lot of participants. These companies can promote their brands in the mainland market and hope that they will expand their customer source. In the end, we'll continue to organize the Hong Kong Shopping Festival. Apart from the mainland market, we will also tap into the ASEAN market. We want to enhance the reputation and allow them to go global, so visitors will also be aware of the market and new products.
Question 4, Mr. LAM San-keung. Thank you, President. At present, the 9 core tree management departments of the government maintain trees within their respective facilities and boundaries in accordance with the relevant requirements and guidelines. While the Tree Management Office, TMO, coordinates the tree management work of various government departments in an integrated approach. In this connection, will the government inform this council whether there is mechanism requiring government departments to notify TMO or the government departments concerned to carry out maintenance work when they discover potential risks posed by trees not under their purview, so as to prevent the trees from posing risks to members of the public? If so, of the details; if not, the reasons for that. 2. Apart from calling the one-stop service hotline 1823, whether there are other channels for public transport operators to seek assistance when they find trees posing danger to vehicles on the road or blocking road signs. If so, of the details; if not, the reasons for that. And 3. After members of the public lodge complaints about trees with potential risks by calling 1823, how long would it take for the government to ascertain which department is responsible for maintaining the trees in question? And how long would it take for the departments concerned to deal with the trees in question? Whether the government has set clear service indicators in this regard, and of the collaborative mechanisms among various government departments. Secretary for Development. President, there are a vast number of trees across the territories of Hong Kong. The government adopts an integrated approach for managing trees on government land, under which the department responsible for maintaining a government facility or site takes care of the trees within the area. The Tree Management Office, TMO, under the Development Bureau, formulates overall tree management strategies and measures and coordinates and oversees the tree maintenance efforts of government departments at the central level. Regarding each part of the question, my reply is as follows. 1. The tree management departments are responsible for the maintenance of trees located on their facilities or land. If a department considers that a tree requiring attention falls outside its jurisdiction, it will refer the matter to the appropriate department for handling or make a referral through the TMO to ensure that the tree in question is properly addressed. Moreover, The Development Bureau conducts regular coordination and working meetings with departments to oversee and steer the implementation of tree management initiatives. During these meetings, departments engage in practical exchanges, clarify the division of responsibilities among them, and share the challenges they have encountered in tree maintenance while learning from the valuable experiences of one another to enhance the effectiveness of tree management. 2. In daily tree maintenance work, the tree management departments regularly inspect trees along the public roads under their jurisdictions. If branches are found extending onto the roadway, obstructing vehicle passage, hindering driver visibility, affecting traffic lights or signs, or posing a potential risk to vehicles, the departments will promptly arrange for the necessary pruning or removal of the trees to ensure the safety of road users. The TMO and core tree management departments have established a regular communication mechanism with key public transport agencies. The public transport operators can also report tree issues to the government through 1823. For example, bus companies will inform the tree management departments on the location of problematic trees. The department may conduct joint inspections with the bus companies as needed and implement the necessary tree maintenance measures. In addition, the TMO and tree management departments hold regular liaison meetings with the MTR Corporation Limited and the Peak Tramways Company Limited to exchange views on tree maintenance issues along the rail and tramway. 3. In September 2023, the TMO consolidated and updated the guidelines for handling tree-related complaints, the guidelines, to include a series of new measures, such as updating the complaint processing mechanism, enhancing coordination and overseeing of departments managing tree complaints, and assisting departments in addressing backlog cases to expedite the handling of tree-related complaints. For cases that pose an imminent danger or are classified as urgent, the responsible department must take immediate action to ensure public safety. For general tree cases, the department will respond to the public inquiries within 14 working days, stating the investigation results, the relevant tree work to be undertaken, and the estimated timeline for completion. In accordance with the guidelines, if the case involves tree removal, the department is required to complete the work within 4 weeks of the response, while tree pruning should be completed within 8 weeks. Upon receiving tree cases referred by 1823, if a tree management department confirms that the case is outside its jurisdictions after review, the department must submit a referral to another department through 1823 within 7 working days in accordance with the guidelines, and provide sufficient information to support their viewpoint, including site inspection records, tree location, site photographs, etc. If the department fails to submit the referral request within the specified time frame, that is 7 working days, it will be responsible for handling the complaint and responding to the complainant to avoid delays in processing the case. When disputes arise regarding the responsibilities of tree maintenance among departments, the TMO will adjudicate and provide professional advice on complex cases involving multiple departments to facilitate prompt resolution of the issues. In any day, the adjudication will be completed within 7 days. The department must respond to the complainant within 14 working days. Under the new guidelines until September 2024, about 99% of cases were properly resolved upon referral to the relevant departments, while the number of cases requiring reassignment by 1823 and adjudication of tree management responsibilities from the TMO accounted for only about 0.9% and 0.1% respectively. of the total complaint cases. The average handling time for general cases has significantly reduced from 60 days in 2022 to around 5 days in 2024. We hope that these figures show that upon enhancing the complaint handling mechanism, we have achieved results. Mr. LAM San-keung. President. Members of the public told me that there were traffic signs that are being blocked by the trees. Drivers were not able to look at the road signs. When I went to the site, I noticed that the situation was serious. This is a road leading to Pok Oi Hospital. As you can see, the road sign was completely blocked by the trees. Drivers were not able to see the directions for Pok Oi Hospital. If a driver living in Yuen has to drive a patient to the hospital, they may not be able to reach the hospital because of the road signs being blocked, and this could be fatal. I understand that we have a lot of road signs in Hong Kong, and it's difficult for the government departments to inspect all of them. But for important road signs, such as those leading to hospitals, we should step up monitoring and rectify issue as soon as possible. It takes a long time for the tree to grow to so tall that it blocks the road signs. Although in the government's reply, it is said that the government regularly monitor and inspect road signs. But I think that there is deficiency in the inspection. I'd like to know which government department is responsible for inspecting these road signs. Will the government consider setting up cross-departmental working group to deal with the issue? Secretary. President, for roadside trees, according to the divisions of duties among different departments, they are mostly responsible by the Highways Department and the LCSD. It's likely that these trees fall under their jurisdictions. If members of the public notice trees blocking road signs, we encourage them and we ask them to call our 1823 and the TMO of the Development Bureau. They can call the 1823 hotline to make the report, and they will refer the cases to relevant government departments. The member asked if there was lacking in the tree inspection work of government departments. Well, the Development Bureau regularly meet with the tree management departments. If we are aware of such cases, we ask the relevant departments to explain and inspect. With this high-level steering, we want to step up communication among different tree management departments. As for the figures that I mentioned in the main reply regarding how many days it takes to deal with complaints, I hope that I've answered the question, but if there are specific cases, we will step up monitoring. Mr. Chao Chi-chung. President, silver wattle is an invasive species. It does not only affect the natural succession of native species, they would collapse very easily during extreme weather events. It's necessary for us to remove these trees that are silver wattle. There are two major departments that are responsible for removing silver wattles. As long as the breast diameter reaches 9 meters, regardless of under which department the trees is responsible for. Well, I think that. Well, I wonder if the secretary will review the inspection work of silver wattle and will not take into account the breast diameters of the trees. And will the administration set up strategic plan and goal for the removal of silver wattle? Secretary. Regarding the specific tree species that the member mentioned, I don't have a comprehensive information on that, but I don't think that the government divides their duties based on these tree species. For Taiwan acacia and silver wattle, we don't divide the duties among different departments based on the tree species. We do have a guideline on the division of responsibilities. For the 9 major tree management departments, if the relevant tree species is located at roadside, then the Highways Department and the LCSD as well as the Roads Department would be responsible. For trees located inside country parks, maybe the AFCD would be responsible. Members said that 2 departments are responsible for handling a specific tree species. I don't think that that is the case. I will clarify if there is any misunderstanding. Mr. Lau Chi-pang. Thank you, President. Many years ago, when I visited Singapore, I found that there were trees of different species planted there. In Shenzhen, I also see sufficient and great greening of the city. However, in Hong Kong, we don't have many seasonal trees and shrubs. I wonder if there is a department that coordinates the planting of trees and flowers and delegate the duties to different departments. Secretary, as for what kind of trees should be planted in which area in Hong Kong, the guidelines is formulated by the Development Bureau, that is the TMO under our bureau. With the guidelines, when there is need for greening of any facilities, the government departments will refer to the guidelines to plant their trees. This guideline is not just for government departments. There are different private residential developments and malls in Hong Kong. Private enterprises may also refer to the guidelines. But this is just a guideline. The Development Bureau plays the coordinator role. We don't think that we have to direct which kind of tree should be planted at which area or location. We also collect views from experts, and we will continue to update the guidelines. Mr. Chan Yuet-ming. Secretary, our airport is our gateway. Most people coming to Hong Kong will drive past North Lantau Highway. There used to be a lot of shrubs and trees along the highway, but now we see only weed. Is it because of a lack of maintenance? I tried to figure out the reason why that happens. Some tree professionals told me that for pruning works to be done or road closures to be conducted, and it's difficult for maintenance work to be carried out. It can only be carried out twice a year. Say when we see silver wattle grown there, we have to remove it. So we need a constant maintenance. Government departments may want to maintain the trees, but they face difficulties in closing off roads. and sometimes there is no consensus or no coordination as to the schedule, and there's no way for us to remove the trees that are blocking the road signs. For trees in central dividers or the trees blocking the road signs, we have to remove them. Maybe we should step up maintenance and increase the frequency to 4 times a year instead of twice a year. Secretary. Members just now talked about the maintenance of roadside trees and emergency duties. Well, that would involve traffic arrangement. Previously, when we asked tree management departments why they did not remove the trees on schedule, that is perhaps within 4 weeks, we see cases from time to time. Sometimes they told us that there was difficulties in traffic coordination. The TMO under the Development Bureau, when they are aware of such cases, they intervene immediately. Hopefully, after communicating with the Transport Department, relevant tree management departments can carry out their duties. But I also understand that the Transport Department is not trying to hinder our work. But sometimes the tree management departments delay their work because they think that the application for road closures is too complicated. So according to our experience, we think that it's necessary for the TMO to coordinate. The member asked if we should increase the frequency of maintenance. Well, we ask all tree management departments before the onset of wet season, inspect all of the trees under their jurisdictions. That should be done once a year. But actually, these departments receive referrals from Monday 2, 3 regularly, and also from other government departments. When they see any cases, they would deal with that immediately. So they don't inspect just twice a year or 3 times a year. For places with high traffic or pedestrian flow, we adopt an integrated approach. We ask the government departments when they carry out their routine duties, follow up on issues that they notice. Mr. Duncan Chiu. Thank you, President. Universities and R&D institutions have been working with TMO to make use of INT to monitor tree conditions. They make use of AI sensors to monitor the risk of tree collapse. I wonder how many trees or how many percentage of trees are being monitored by technology, and when will we make use of technology to monitor the health of the trees to alleviate the manpower pressure. Secretary. Different digital solutions or smart solutions have their own functions. We may place labels at trees. Well, we have placed labels with some 200,000 trees. So when members of the public scan the QR codes on the trees labels, the departments would receive the complaints or referrals. And we also have this tree tilt sensors, which monitor if the tree's been tilting and if there is risk of collapse. We have installed such sensors in 8,000 trees. The pilot programs are going on satisfactorily. We're following up on relevant universities. We try to expand the scheme. I don't have concrete figures on the application of different smart solutions, but we are trying out different solutions. We also have tree roots sensing technology.
Yuet-ming.
Question 5, Ms. CHAN Yuet-ming. Thank you, President.
It has been reported that the number of inbound and outbound passenger trips at the Heung boundary control point HYWBCP have continued to hit record highs, resulting in snaking queues during both weekends and holidays. In this connection, would the government inform this council, one, whether it has examined the reasons for the occurrence of snaking queues at the BCP, whether it will consider upgrading the BCP to increase its clearance capacity, and discuss with the Office of Port of Entry and Exit of Shenzhen Municipal People's Government short and medium-term improvement measures, including increasing the number of entry-exit gates and X-ray machines, as well as implementing the various enhancement measures under the Special Action Plan for improving the efficiency of Shenzhen ports. If so, of the details, if not the reasons of that. 2, as it has been reported that Macau introduced iris self-service channels at the border gate port last year, whether the authorities have plans to introduce the relevant technology or upgrade the automated passenger clearance system to tie in with the future implementation of the collaborative inspection and joint clearance mode at the BCP. If so, of the details, if not the reasons for that. And 3, as it has been reported that the public car park at the BCP is often full during weekends, and that the use of the nearby private car park by members of the public has also caused traffic chaos, whether the authorities will review the user-friendliness and intelligence of the booking system of the car park so as to increase the efficiency of its use, and introduce measures to consider widening the roads around the BCP to improve traffic conditions. Thank you. Secretary for Security. President, the Heung boundary control point at BCP is the first BCP which adopts the design of direct access to people and vehicles with a designed handling capacity of about 30,000 passenger trips daily. The BCP has been well received by the public since its commissioning. Since the commissioning of passenger clearance service in February 2023. As at September 2024, the BCP recorded a daily average of about 70,000 cross-boundary passenger trips, and during weekends and public holidays, a daily average of over 80,000 passenger trips. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government will continue to enhance the handling capacity of BCPs and apply innovative technology to provide more efficient clearance services. Having consulted the Financial Services in the Treasury Bureau and the Transport and Logistics Bureau, our reply to the questions raised is as follows. 1. The relevant departments have been taking various measures, including flexible deployment of manpower, optimization of workflow, and effective use of information technology and so on, to enhance the handling capacity and efficiency of the BCP. To further increase the overall handling capacity, the Immigration Department has set up 10 extra mobile counters in the passenger arrival hall of the BCP and completed the enhancement works in early June this year to replace certain traditional counters of e-channels, increasing the number of e-channels in the passenger arrival hall from 14 to 18. The Customs and Excise Department also adopts a risk management approach to select passengers for examination to avoid inconvenience caused to other passengers. During festive periods or long holidays, relevant government departments will minimize leave for frontline officers, operate additional counters and channels, and deploy more security guards to assist in crowd management and ensure smooth passenger flow at the BCP. In the light of the above measures, citizens can complete immigration clearance in a few minutes during non-peak hours but during weekends and festive peak out periods, most citizens can complete immigration clearance within 50 minutes. Since the commissioning of the passenger clearance service in February last year, there were only 5 occasions during long holidays on which citizens' average waiting time was recorded to exceed 15 minutes. The average waiting time did not, however, exceed 30 minutes on those occasions. In view of the considerable number of tour groups choosing to enter and exit Hong Kong through the BCP, the Tourism Commission maintains close liaison with the tourism industry for making necessary clearance arrangements for tour groups. Relevant departments are also in close liaison with the mainland port authorities through the established port hotlines and real-time notification mechanism to closely monitor the passenger traffic at the BCP and to take diversion measures when necessary to ensure smooth operation of the BCP. The SAR government maintains close liaison with relevant mainland authorities to discuss and take forward various BCP enhancement measures. It is understood that to take forward items related to clearance in the Special Action Plan for improving the efficiency of Shenzhen ports, relevant mainland authorities have implemented various enhancement arrangements, including introducing diversion measures at the port building and setting up waiting area for 2 groups near the control point and so on, while exploring other enhancement measures. 2. Apart from the common fingerprint and facial recognition, biometric authentication also includes other technologies such as iris and palm print recognition. Every technology has its own advantages and limitations. Taking iris recognition as an example, its accuracy is higher as iris features of each individual are different. However, iris recognition may not be applicable to people with eye diseases such as cataract due to damaged iris features. It is understood that the iris recognition self-service channels in Macau are only for registered Macau residents under the separation location arrangement mode, whereby clearance procedures are conducted at the places of departure and arrival in each jurisdiction. The iris recognition technology is used to undergo clearance at Macau side. This mode does not apply to the collaborative inspection and joint clearance mode at the moment. As visitors will only need to have their identities verified once to complete the respective clearance procedures of both sides under the collaborative inspection and joint clearance mode. The detailed operation has to be agreed by the Shenzhen and Hong Kong SAR government. The 2 governments are discussing the operational details regarding the collaborative inspection and joint clearance mode at the new Guangdong port. The current plan is to use facial and fingerprint information for identification of cross-boundary passengers. 3. There are 2 fee-paying public car parks in the non-closed areas of the BCP. They are leased out to car park contractors by the Government Property Agency, GPA. They provide a total of 415 private car, 36 motorcycle, and 15 light goods vehicle parking spaces. Since its operation in February 2023, GPA has been reviewing the parking need and the operation of the online pre-booking system. GPA has rolled out new enhancement measures last year. One is accepting on-site booking of parking spaces for private cars and motor vehicles during non-peak hours, that is, except for weekends, public holidays, and the preceding working day since July. The other is releasing the parking spaces of cars leaving early for public use since October. GPA is currently enhancing the online pre-booking system. At present, the online booking system only allows the public to reserve parking spaces from 2 hours prior to entry. GPA is planning to shorten it to half an hour in end 2024 or early 2025. In addition, the Transport Department will maintain effective communication with car park operators near the BCP and request them to manage their car parks properly to avoid causing congestion. The police will also assist in traffic management and diversion when necessary. Lastly, I appeal to members of the public to check the website and the mini-program of the Immigration Department and Shenzhen authorities to learn about the clearance status and choose an appropriate BCP before traveling to the mainland. The public could also avoid making their journeys during peak hours to reduce congestion. Thank you. Ms. CHAN Yuet-ming. Thank you, President. Last Friday, I went via the Heung BCP to come back to Hong Kong. Now, this is the photo I took of the snaking queues. So the handling capacity, the side handling capacity is only 30,000 passenger trips, but during weekends there were over 100,000 passenger trips. And then under the Northern Metropolis planning strategy, it will be a main BCP, so that means there will be more people using the BCP. And we see here there is already heavy congestion. And the crowd is mainly on the mainland side, especially near the X-ray machines. Now, for the Macau, I understand usually there is no inspection of handheld baggage, And then with the express rail link, it's also the case. In the main reply, it said that the government keeps in close liaison with the mainland departments. So my question is, what sort of a communication channel do you have to talk to the mainland authorities in enhancing clearance efficiency? What about increasing the number of X-ray machines? And is there a chance of exempting the inspection of handheld baggage? Thank you. Secretary. Yes, just the previous weekend, there were over 100,000 passenger trips across the Heung BCP. Now, the design capacity is 30,000, but now there are 100,000 passenger trips, so it's a serious problem. But actually, in our design, we do have some leeway, and as I mentioned, we have put in place various enhancement measures. So that's why during non-peak hours, it only takes a few minutes to clear custom, and during peak hours, it only takes about 50 minutes to clear the clearance. And in the last weekend, the average clearance time was 50 minutes. Ms. CHAN Yuet-ming showed us a photo about the situation on the mainland side of the port control. Now, we have a close communication mechanism with the mainland. There are 3 tiers. First, on day-to-day operations, our customs and immigration staff will keep in close liaison with the Shenzhen side on the latest clearance status. So each side could then take suitable measures. As for X-ray examination, this is a requirement on the mainland side. They will have regard to the various risks in deciding to adjust the arrangement as necessary. And then the second tier is that we have regular meetings with the office of the port office of the Shenzhen, and of course we always talk about passenger flow. And then the third tier is that we have a special joint meeting with the Shenzhen municipal authorities, and we meet from a few times a year, and then we will certainly discuss clearance issues as well. Thank you. Mr. Gary Chen. Thank you, President. Well, the Secretary mentioned himself that the Heung BCP is very popular among passengers. Last weekend, there were 100 passenger trips. That's 3 times more than the designed capacity. And then in the main reply, the Secretary informed us of the enhancement measures. I don't think they are sufficient at all to cope with the high number of passenger trips. So would you consider extending the opening hours of the BCP, and in the long run, is there a need to expand the BCP altogether? Secretary. Now, when it's time for school children to go to school, or at the same time, there are people coming back to Hong Kong and they all ask for longer operation hours. Well, as I mentioned, we have a 3-tier communication mechanism. The first tier is to deal with day-to-day issues, and then for the other 2 tiers, we could take up these suggestions. And in fact, the relevant authorities are actively looking into the issue. The second question is whether there will be expansion of BCP. Well, it was only last February, after the resumption of normal travel, that we have started the passenger clearance service at the Heung BCP. So it's just been a year or so. Well, yes, the passenger trips are far higher than we have expected, because we didn't expect there to be such a rapid development in cross-boundary travel. But as I said, there's some leeway in the design capacity. At the same time, we've taken various enhancement measures. So on weekdays, during non-peak hours, it only takes a few minutes to go through customs, and during not peak hours, it's just 50 minutes. There were only 4 occasions when the time taken was more than 50 minutes, but still it did not exceed 30 minutes. So we think that is acceptable. Now, in future, will we consider the expansion of the Heung BCP? Well, that will be subject to review. Thank you. Mr. Edward Lau. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Security Bureau for the information. Well, there is direct access to people and vehicles, so it shows that the arrangements is really successful at this Heung BCP. Now, on weekends, there are over 100,000 passenger trips that far exceeds the designed capacity. Would there be any diversion measures? Last October, the Secretary promised to extend the operation hours of the Heung BCP by half an hour in the morning and 1 hour at night in the evening. And what about the Sha Tau Kok BCP? Is there a definite date for its redevelopment? Because after its redevelopment or redevelopment, then probably that could help to divert passenger traffic from Heung Secretary. Well, on extending the operation hours of the Heung BCP, we have started discussion with the mainland authorities. Of course, this is a matter for both sides, and we understand the mainland authorities have to consider the staffing level, transportation support, and so on. But then that we are actively considering the idea, and we'll see if that will help to bring about improvement. The Sha Tau Kok BCP is mentioned in the policy address that in 2025 we will finalize the proposal, and so there will be at the boundary point we will each build a building. Hopefully then we could adopt the collaborative inspection and joint clearance mode there then. Thank you. Mr. Gary ZHANG, now we're talking about cross-boundary private vehicle flow, and one Man-Kam-to, Sha-Tau-Kok and so on, they could all use the Hong Kong BCP at night. But then for this Heung BCP, it's not possible to use the Guangdong or Macao BCP through the night for private vehicles. Now, it's said that there will be an announcement, so I wonder if the arrangement could be put in place within this year. Secretary. Now, after the Hong BCP is closed at night, cross-boundary vehicles will have to go through the Hong Kong-Macao bridge. They cannot access other BCPs. Of course, we know inconvenience will be caused. The Transport and Logistics Bureau is in discussion with the mainland authorities on this issue. I understand progress is being made, and then announcement will be made too. Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Lau. Thank you, President. Traffic and transport support measures for the Heung BCP far exceeds the original expectation. And then Northern Metropolis, we're going to build 2 railways and 1 road, and then for the Northeast New Territories rail link, it will be 8.5 kilometers. It will link up with the East Rail Line at the Fanling Station. So when will you start complete the Northeast New Territories rail link? Secretary. Well, I think I will have to pass on your question to the Transport and Logistics Bureau for a reply later. Mr. Dominic Lee. Thank you. Now, for the car parks nearby, during weekends, they're always full. So because your 2 fee-paying public car parks are full, so people then have to go to the temporary car parks that's open air. And there's only 1 road leading to the car park. That's why there are always long queues of vehicles waiting to get into the car park. So will you consider, I know it's not under the jurisdiction of the Security Bureau, but would you consider or talk to other bureau departments to see if you could, designate land for cars waiting to get into the car park. Secretary, Well, we know that the two fee-paying public car parks have only 415 parking spaces, so they may not be sufficient. That's why land is granted to other operators for other private car parks. There are about 400 parking spaces too. Now, during weekends, we know that these car parks help to accommodate the extra vehicles. Now we know there are more vehicles going there, and there's just one road that is the Lin-Hang road sometimes, so therefore there is congestion. That's why we have talked to the private car park operators. We're keeping close liaison with them too. We want them to manage their car parks properly to reduce congestion. The police will also deploy police officers to direct traffic during peak busy hours, and we can see so far traffic flow has been smooth. Mr. Charles Mancong, I have the same question as Mr. Gary ZHANG, but for the Shuttlecock BCP, I think cars will actually come to the Heung Yuen BCP too. So that's why there's a urgency for the new Hong Kong port to be commissioned. Thank you. Secretary, the future Shuttlecock BCP will cater mostly to visitors or travelers, and the Transport and Logistics Bureau is considering whether cars could use other BCPs after the Heung Yuen BCP is closed at night. The Bureau is in discussion with mainland authorities. They will make an announcement when appropriate. Dr. Ho Yi-san Min Lee, thank you. We are seeing an increasing number of BCPs between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. For the Heung Yuen BCP, well, its entry point to Shenzhen is the urban area. So Shenzhen Bay will have direct access to high-end commercial area and so on. So different BCPs access different areas. And so we consider the positioning of the Heung Yuen BCP so that people will know if the BCP is right for them to go into Shenzhen. Secretary, we have a meeting to have discussion with the mainland authorities on the coordination of the different BCPs after the development of the Northern Metropolis. We will consider the traffic situation, and the BC arrangement will also be discussed there. Thank you.
Last question seeking an oral reply, Mr. Gary ZHANG. Thank you, President. The outlined development plan for the Greater Bay Area puts forward consolidating and enhancing Hong Kong's status as an international aviation hub, pursuing the development and positive interaction of airports in GBA, and developing a world-class airport cluster in the GBA. In this connection, will the government inform this council? 1. Whether it will study constructing certain sections of the Hong Kong Island West Hong Shui-Kiu Rail Link in parallel with the construction of the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link, so as to facilitate direct passenger access to the MTR Sunny Bay Station when the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link is commissioned, and to connect with Shanghai and Shenzhen Bay as well as the airports of Hong Kong and Shenzhen, thereby creating a Hong Kong-Shenzhen super aviation hub. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. 2. As the government has indicated earlier in its reply to a question raised by a member of this council, that the implementation of the immigration arrangement of the collocation arrangement at the Hong Kong International Airport, which involves legal and implementation issues, has to be carefully considered. Whether the collocation arrangement will, according to the findings of the government's latest study, affect the transfer time of transit passengers and the mode of passenger transport for transit passengers to the mainland. And 3. Whether it will consider expanding the mode of HKIA Dongguan Logistics Park to other GBA cities to meet the demand of the manufacturing industries in GBA for international air transport. If so, of the details, if not, the reasons for that. Secretary for Transport and Logistics. President, Hong Kong is an international aviation hub. This positioning is recognized in the National 14th Five-Year Plan and the Outline Development Plan for the GBA. To implement this national strategy and to enhance the long-term competitiveness of Hong Kong International Airport, HKIA, and Hong Kong's aviation industry, the government of the Hong Kong SAR and the Airport Authority Hong Kong have launched a series of measures, including enhancing the connection between HKIA and the mainland to proactively contribute to the development of a world-class airport cluster in the GBA. On the other hand, the Hong Kong SAR government promulgated the Hong Kong Major Transport Infrastructure Development Blueprint at the end of last year. The blueprint consolidates all major transport infrastructure currently under planning, design, and construction in a forward-looking manner, and holistically outlines and plans for the development of strategic transport infrastructure, including the recommendation to take forward the Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link Hong Shui-Kiu-Shanghai and Hong Kong Island West Hong Shui-Kiu Rail Link, with a view to meeting the transport and logistics demand up to 2046 and beyond. My reply to the three parts of the question is as follows. 1. The government of Hong Kong SAR and Shenzhen are taking forward the Western Rail Link project through the Task Force for Hong Kong-Shenzhen Cooperation on Cross-Boundary Railway Infrastructure, jointly established by the two governments. Currently, the first stage and second stage studies of the Rail Link project undertaken by the Task Force has been completed, which confirmed the strategic value and necessity of the project. The studies initially assessed the planning, engineering, feasibility, benefits, environmental impact, construction, and operation arrangements of the railway scheme. The governments of Hong Kong SAR and Shenzhen are now working together to commence the next stage of preparatory work. The current proposed alignment of the rail link should be able to meet the demand arising from the planned developments of the Hong Shui-Kiu-Ha-Chin New Development Area and Shanghai Cooperation Zone in Shenzhen, as well as the need for closer social, economic, and personnel exchanges of the two places. In the long run, flexibility could be allowed for the Shenzhen and Hong Kong sections of the rail link to extend northwards and southwards respectively. Meanwhile, the Hong Kong SAR government is planning for the transport infrastructure for the Kau Yi Chau artificial islands, amongst which the preliminary alignment of Hong Kong Island West Hong Shui-Kiu Rail Link will pass through the artificial islands, Sunny Bay, Tuen Mun East, and Hong Shui-Kiu for connection with the planned Hong Kong-Shenzhen Western Rail Link Hong Shui-Kiu to Shanghai. We will study the implementation program and interchange arrangement at Sunny Bay Station, with a view to maximizing the cost benefits of the relevant railway network. 2. With regard to the proposal of enhancing the connection between Hong Kong and the mainland via implementing co-location arrangement at HKIA, while there are precedents of the implementation of co-location arrangement at the road-based and rail-based boundary control points between the Hong Kong SAR and the mainland, adopting such arrangement at HKIA will involve different legal and implementation issues and thus overall benefits, taking into account its mode of operation as an international aviation hub in connecting different destinations. As such, this has to be carefully considered. One of the considerations under study is the transit time for passengers as mentioned by the member. Currently, transit passengers can proceed to their boarding gates after security check without going through any clearance procedures at HKIA. If co-location management or arrangement is implemented at HKIA, transit passengers traveling to or from the mainland must complete immigration and customs clearance procedures of the mainland, which may increase the transit time for these passengers depending on the specific arrangements. We will continue our study on the benefits and implications of the proposed implementation of co-location arrangement at the airport from various perspectives, including its potential impact on transit time. Meanwhile, we'll work with the airport authority to continue our efforts in putting forward measures to enhance clearance efficiency and connectivity with the mainland, which includes developing the intermodal transport connection between HKIA and other cities in the GBA. In this regard, we'll continue to pursue cooperation with Zhuhai Airport, including enhancing the fly via Zhuhai Hong Kong service by promoting the service to more cities in the mainland with which Hong Kong does not have direct flights. By integrating the international aviation network of HKIA and the domestic aviation network of Zhuhai Airport, we can achieve greater synergy and enhance Hong Kong's status as an international aviation hub. 3. Dongguan is the manufacturing center in the GBA with large quantities of goods to be exported. With no airport in Dongguan, many goods manufactured in Dongguan and its neighboring regions are being transported to HKIA by land for exporting overseas every day. To fully capitalize on HKIA's advantages in air cargo and to meet the demand for international aviation transport from the manufacturing sector in the GBA, the airport authority is taking forward the sea-air intermodal cargo transshipment mode in collaboration with Dongguan. Under this mode, export cargo from the mainland can go through security screening, palletization, and cargo acceptance in advance in the upstream HKIA Dongguan Logistics Park set up in Dongguan. It will then be transported seamlessly by sea to the cargo pier on the air side of HKIA for direct transshipment to overseas destinations. International cargo may also be imported into the mainland vice versa. This mode will provide a more seamless and convenient international air network for the cargo in the GBA, improve the efficiency of cross-border air cargo transshipment, and further leverage Hong Kong's function as an air cargo transshipment hub. The Airport Authority expects to complete the first phase construction of the permanent facility of the Dongguan Logistics Park Phase 1 by the end of next year and to commence the preliminary study of the development plan for Phase 2 next year. In light of the fact that Dongguan is the manufacturing center in the GBA, the Airport Authority will focus resources to press ahead with the development of the sea-air intermodal cargo transshipment mode and construction of the Dongguan Logistics Park with Dongguan to maximize the benefits of the sea-air intermodal cargo transshipment mode. Mr. Gary ZHANG. In his main reply, the Secretary mentioned that the Hong Kong Island to Hong Shui-Kiu section of the rail link will have to be considered after a further plan. The Chief Executive already mentioned that the Kao I Chau Artificial Islands project will be postponed or will be taken forward slowly. In the future, it might be easier for us to go to the airport in the mainland than to the Hong Kong airport. Can you at least incorporate the Sunny Bay station as well as the Hong Shui-Kiu and Hong Kong Island network into your Shenzhen Western Rail Link plan? Secretary, for the sections between Hong Shui-Kiu and the mainland, we allow flexibility for it to extend southwards. From Hong Shui-Kiu to Hong Kong Island West, there is a part that passes through Lantau Island. We are studying the alignment now. That part is about 13 to 14 kilometers long. That's equivalent to the distance between Shatin and Shenzhen. In order to plan for such rail link, it is an important task, and we are studying the railway alignment now. To the north, we have Hong Shui-Kiu. To the south, we have Sunny Bay. It's been a while since I worked as an engineer on railway network. I think the member was right that we have to implement or carry out our study as soon as possible. Mr. Kingsley Wong, we have to implement co-location arrangement to enhance our competitiveness of the Hong Kong airport. My question is this. We have been stressing the importance of developing low-altitude economy apart from land-based transportation. Should we study the feasibility of having helicopters for passengers traveling from Hong Kong to the GBA to provide convenience for business travelers as well as to build a one-hour living circle? Secretary, implementing the co-location arrangement at the Hong Kong airport is a rather innovative idea. We have to be careful. Around Shenzhen Bay Bridge, there is the co-location arrangement, and also we have such arrangement at the high-speed rail link station. It involves complex legal issues if we are to implement such arrangement at the Hong Kong airport. Say we have a helipad in the airport, we also have the third runway system. If there are many helicopters, operating at the airport will have to take time to carry out studies, and we have to be very careful about this. Hong Kong is an international aviation hub, and this is an important matter for us, so we have to handle this issue carefully. We have to explore the situation. For example, is there such a need in the market, and what is the cost effectiveness, etc. Mr. Sunny Tan. Thank you, President. I'm glad that the Chief Executive proposes in his latest policy address that the Phase 2 development will be taken forward for the HKIA Dongguan Logistics Park. As the government implements the intermodal transport mode, how is it going to enhance economic and logistics activities to enhance our competitiveness as well as consolidate our status as a logistics and transport hub? What are the concrete measures? Secretary. Currently, we have the HKIA Dongguan Logistics Park. It is a temporary site for the logistics park because it is implemented as a pilot project. We have the Phase 1 site, and at the same time this year, the Airport Authority has commenced the Phase 2 study for the logistics park. We will incorporate more elements into the project. During Phase 1 of the project, we talked to the Shenzhen authorities about incorporating cold chain elements. There are goods manufactured in the factory as well as bases in Dongguan. We also have food products that need to be exported, as well as products that need to be controlled in terms of its temperature. So we are studying the cold chain elements. We're also looking into how we can incorporate e-commerce elements as well as time-critical goods that have to be transported speedily. In the policy address, it is mentioned that there are some arrangements for air-to-air transshipment mode. For sea-to-air intermodal transport, can the air-to-air arrangement be applied? As mentioned in the policy address, we will study this. We hope to have diverse arrangements to enhance the competitiveness of the Hong Kong airport. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, the Dongguan Logistics Park helps lower the logistics cost as well as cargo handling time. Will the government review its food product inspection arrangement and have cold storage facilities near the logistics park so that the relevant products can be exported directly between Hong Kong and Dongguan as well as to other mainland cities? And how will you facilitate the transport of frozen goods? Secretary, in terms of frozen food products, we are in talks with the Dongguan authorities to see whether there is room for us at the logistics park to deal with temperature-controlled goods, including frozen products. We have the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge, and we want to make use of the bridge. We want to improve connectivity with the western part of Guangdong by making use of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge. This includes the transport of frozen goods. The western part of Guangdong has a long shoreline, so we think that it is possible for us to transport goods from that part of the mainland to the restricted area of the Hong Kong airport. We are confident that we can expand our cargo transport network. Mr. Perry Yu, to have high-end visitors, we need to have high-quality measures. We should use BAC as the pilot point for the co-location arrangement. I have the following questions. The third runway system will be commissioned by the end of this month. This will tackle the issue of insufficient capacity in the past. Secretary mentioned in his panel paper that he will attract local as well as foreign airlines to develop new routes and flights. Are there proactive measures from the government to support different airline companies to develop new flights and new routes? Secretary. We have the BAC, Business Aviation Center, in the Hong Kong airport. Earlier in my reply concerning the co-location arrangement, I talked about helicopters. Should the co-location arrangement only serve visitors traveling on private planes or helicopters? We have to look at what kind of benefits the co-location arrangement will bring to us as an international aviation hub. To give you some information, in some mainland airports, in 80 mainland cities, they have ports in their airports. We have direct flights to over 40 mainland cities. So we don't have direct flights with over 30 mainland cities because of various reasons. So we will continue to explore this with the mainland authorities. The third runway system will be commissioned on the 28th of November. So all the 3 runways will be operating. And this will significantly enhance our capacity. The CAD as well as our bureau and our partners will review the agreements that we have entered into to see how we can relax certain restrictions and barriers so that we can have more airplanes coming to Hong Kong from our partners. The airport authority is encouraging different airlines to open up new flights and routes or enhancing their services. Since July this year, 8 airlines have benefit from this incentive scheme. They cover 11 routes. We will look for ways to encourage local as well as foreign airline companies to enhance the frequency of their services as well as develop new flights.
期限提出嘅議案。
Members' motion on the period for amending subsidiary legislation.